This is the College Football Connection Podcast with Alvin Reed, Bradford Bruns, and Marty Jenkins on 101 ESPN.
The books, another set of performances at the quarterback position that apparently did very little to create that distance between the two front runners. Good Sunday evening, everybody, and welcome back into the 101 ESPN YouTube channel, plus 101ESPN.com. My name is Bradford Bruns, hanging out with you live from our studio in Creve Coeur, a little late-night edition of the College Football Connection in this instance. Hope that you're wrapping up in the Lou or anywhere else a banner weekend. We are psyched because you can feel it, right? You can sense it. You can look at that date, August the 28th, on the calendar and know that we are not far away whatsoever from MU's regular season opener at home against Central Arkansas. And full disclosure here, you understand, if you've been following, observing, and being able to take care of our presentation over the past couple of months, we have been in deep dive mode when it comes to any and every SEC school, frankly, that we can get our hands on for those previews. But today, we're going to scale it back a little bit for this episode and instead give you some of the meat and potatoes, the nuts and bolts stemming from yesterday's scrimmage at MU. So at Memorial Stadium for the second time in under a week, Eli Drinkwitz, his squad got after it, and thereafter, as to be expected, quite frankly, all of the primary questions and the conjecture once again centered on the man who would be in line to take over for Brady Cook at the quarterback spot. And once more, Eli Drinkwitz was very adamant that there is no clear-cut answer at this point in time. And it was never going to be an easy, finite, ready-made solution when you're talking about replacing somebody of the ilk of Brady Cook. This is a guy who transformed in many different respects the entire Missouri football program. And oh yeah, the success on the field as well, beyond just the foundational asset he was to Columbia at large. Back-to-back double-digit win campaigns in doing things offensively that hadn't really been observed on campus in a great amount of time. Now, a lot of people were optimistic and still should be when the Tigers received that news not that long ago, months ago, that they would be landing, courtesy of the portal, a big-time get from Big Ten country, Beau Pribula, yes, of James Franklin's Penn State Nittany Lions, coming on campus, presumably for a nice hefty little NIL tag in the way of compensation. But you had Pribula, you also had Sam Horn coming back, not flirting with Major League Baseball just yet. Somebody who was obviously in competition with Cook just 2 seasons ago, had the Tommy John surgery, hasn't been a factor on the field for quite some time. But as we learned yesterday, it's not as if Drinkwitz has been overly optimistic or pessimistic, for that matter, when it comes to evaluating. It's always been a measured tone, right, over the last couple of weeks, both Pribula and Horn, because earlier in the week, following Monday's initial scrimmage session, so much was made about maybe a lack of great decision-making on both parts. And then yesterday, much more attention was apparently paid to taking care of the football, limiting those turnovers. Also, Drinkwitz has been very clear as well and consistent in his praise, effusive praise at that, for the true freshman Matt Zollers. Now, coming off of an injury, you know that this, in all likelihood, Zollers, another Pennsylvania product, he's going to be the future of the program at QB. But as far as QB1 goes, heading into late August, it's okay at this point in time if you truly do not have a definitive answer. I think, guys, that this competition, this derby of sorts, is starkly different than what we saw just 2 seasons ago. In 2023, Cook and Horn were essentially pitted against each other throughout camp, into the regular season, even a couple of tilts therein. But it wasn't really a true competition, right, in the truest sense of the word. You basically knew that Cook had a stranglehold on the job, and then Horn, yes, was being prepped accordingly, but you had a couple of games, cupcakes early in the schedule, through which to work and through which you could work out some of those kinks. I honestly envision, ladies and gentlemen, I really do think that a similar scenario could play out this time around, because yes, you're talking about Central Arkansas on the 28th, that primetime opener, having that SEC SEC slate to yourself for all intents and purposes again. It's a vulnerable secondary. You can gouge the second level, presumably as well. So why not use the best of both worlds before you ramp up the SEC schedule, right? You have the dual threat, who is Pribula. You also have the rocket prototypical arm that's being brought into the festivities by Horn. There is enough room to be able to incorporate both of them until a clear individual emerges. And then you run with that guy definitely in advance of September the 20th. Around that time, South Carolina, with its undisputed leader, Lenora Sellers, coming onto campus, you'd better have it figured out then. But for right now, really no sweat. Now, that isn't to say that Drinkwitz isn't sweating a bit right now. Yes, it's still early, but by the same token, you are more than halfway through fall camp, right? And he hasn't exactly been pleased with some of the things that he has seen from some of the younger wide receivers on the roster. You have some guys, okay, who are absolutely locked in, point blank period. No doubt about it. Kevin Coleman, he's not only going to be your slot extraordinaire, coming back home in a manner of speaking, coming over from elsewhere in SEC Nation, namely Mississippi State. He's going to be a big-time factor in the return game on punt returns, it seems, as well. You are very excited about what you're getting from the Illinois State transfer, another veteran in the room in Lloyd, and Marquise Johnson apparently has made great strides in terms of just the consistency of the demeanor and trying to exude more leadership on his part as well. A lot of the heralded, though, freshmen coming in, even the sophomores, cases of the dropsies so far, at least as confirmed by Eli Drinkwitz. But this is a hallmark of what Drinkwitz has done over the past few years during these fall camps for reporters on the scene day after day, keeping everybody accountable, keeping everybody on their toes, and also exercising caution, guys, when it comes to holding out certain individuals who've maybe been worked to excess or who just need a blow here and there. That pertained yesterday to a few of the luminaries on this roster. When you're talking about Jalen Catalon, who's expected to be a primary member of the secondary, who's really going to be quarterbacking that secondary at safety, he was held out. And then offensively as well, maintenance days basically for Connor Tollison, working his way back from that season-ending knee injury last year. The offensive continuity, it has to be there on the line, right? It has to be there preferably sooner rather than later. We don't know entering next week if it's going to be Williams, if it's going to be Richardson garnering most of the reps out there at left tackle. But Tollison needed a day as he continues to work himself back to full health, and also the beast, otherwise known as Ahmad Hardy, he too sat out. But what about some of the other contributors for this offense, for Kirby Moore, the OC and company? I thought this was a perfect opportunity to actually let you guys hear from somebody, a focal point at that, with whom I was able to visit recently in mid-Missouri. That would be the recent Mackey Award finalist, preseason at least, tight end Brett Norfleet from the area, an O'Fallon graduate, and somebody who's really just scratched the surface as far as his immense potential is concerned there on campus. Stormed onto campus as a freshman. He was actually a freshman All-American with 18 catches, started the last couple of games, and had immense expectations entering his sophomore campaign. Injuries, a lot of things conspired against him, held him down to 26 catches, but I found it very interesting that throughout camp so far, at least, Drinkwitz, Moore, etc., everybody involved with the offensive personnel on that side of the football consistently has said, hey, the tight end position, we like who we have at receiver. Yes, we like the new additions, but we've lost Theo Weiss. We have obviously lost Luther Burden III, drafted by the Chicago Bears. We are going to lean on a deep crop of tight ends to be able to give us not only some of the intermediate stuff, but also turn it up the field, because these guys are athletes in every sense of the word. So I started my conversation with Brett by asking him specifically about just how much more comfortable he is entering year number 3 in this system under Kirby Moore and making sure to try to stay on the field by any means necessary.
I feel like for me, it's just, the more you play, the more you kind of get a feel for it. And one of the things is you can watch all the film in the world, right? but it's just kind of getting a feel for it. And for me, just from year one to now, has got to be probably my defensive IID, and then also just kind of getting a feel for our schemes and stuff, right? You can watch somebody do the same rep, right? But then you go out there and it's not the same rep. So it's just, getting a feel for it, and then also playing with your teammates as well. So.
I think your position group has a really interesting blend of returning individuals, obviously yourself included, Jordan too, and then bringing in some newcomers as well. Talk about the balance that you see right now and what you're looking forward to as far as building even more and more camaraderie with that group here in the fall.
Oh, yeah. I'm super excited about our room. We got, I think it's either 6 or 7 guys that I have full faith in, all come in and work their ass off. So yeah, I'm just really excited for our room in 2025, and yeah, we'll just see what happens, I guess.
One of the biggest objectives, obviously, for you this season, talking about team success, being able to hopefully, stay on the field consistently as well. What has maybe surprised you, or what have you learned after playing for a couple of seasons, the rigors of going up against SEC physical defenses week in and week out? How has that surprised you for maybe what you would have expected when you first set foot on campus?
So when I first stepped foot on campus, I didn't really know what to expect. But after that first year, I kind of knew what to expect, right? And it was just kind of a freak thing. But yeah, I mean, it's certainly not easy going up against those giant SEC players, right? But for me, this year I'm just going to try to focus on gaining that confidence back, right? Just starting to get back into the swing of things.
And one more for you, offense-wide. Obviously, so much of the attention here today being paid to the guy ultimately who's going to be taking over at QB. What do these guys have as far as attributes go? Brady Cook was entrenched at that spot for so long here on this team. What are you seeing early on from guys like Beau, from Sam, who has been around, as far as some of the same characteristics or how they're leading in their own unique ways?
First of all, I just want to say it was a super big blessing to play with Brady Cook, and I will always cherish the moments that we've had. But for me, watching Sam and Beau and Matt, lead routes on air, or, when they're throwing balls to other people, something that sticks out to me is they both got really strong arms, right? And they're both fast. So that's super exciting to me. But yeah, I'm just really excited to kind of watch the competition play out. And whoever it is at the end, I got full faith in them.
There you go, guys. Hope you enjoyed spending a few minutes hearing from Brett Norfleet, entering year number 3 with the Mizzou Tigers. Big-time expectations for the local product, and he is looking to fulfill them accordingly as we edge ever closer to that regular season opener one more time, August the 28th. At Mizzou. Very pleased to announce just a couple of days ago, it was in fact confirmed by the media relations department there. We have full season access, so you can look forward to reports for each and every game, prior to each and every game, once again, a la 2024, and thereafter, courtesy of the College Football Connection. Brett Norfleet, just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the conversations we're going to visit and that we're going to deliver to you over the span of the next couple of weeks. We haven't given a ton of love thus far during fall camp to the defensive side of the football. Oh yeah, rest assured, Corey Batoon has received that deserved contract extension, but his troops, both on the defensive line, the second level, Eli Drinkwitz, cannot praise enough Khalil Jacobs working his way back from injury as well. We will tell you about him. We'll tell you about a bit of a reconfigured secondary a couple of days from now. And 2 more quick notes for you before we sign off on this Sunday evening on the CFC. former Missouri Tigers trying to edge their way into the professional ranks with differing results, differing signals here on this occasion, because while Nate Noel, last season's #1 tailback, who had been signed actually by the Dolphins only to be waived right after the NFL draft, he signs with the Indianapolis Colts. Those guys definitely in need of some backups behind the main bell cow individual, Jonathan Taylor. One positive, one con. Johnny Walker Jr., who spearheaded Batoon's defense, the defensive line that is a season ago, suffering a lower body injury with the Denver Broncos that will wipe out the entirety of his 2025 campaign.